here. It's up for us out here. Huh? Are you angry? Are you angry?
Calling for press freedom as they lend their support to the outlet's journalists. Protesters marched towards Prime Minister Viktor Orban's office in Budapest, telling the government to stay clear of media interference. They say the sacking of the editor-in-chief of the country's leading independent news website is just the latest attempt to curb reporting at outlets that are critical of government policies. The editor's sacking was followed by a stream of resignations, as senior editors and over 70 other journalists also handed in their notice, the majority of Index's newsroom. The editor had only recently raised concerns over potential interference in the organisation's content. This, as one of the Prime Minister's allies has just taken control of the website's advertising department.
Three teenagers have been convicted of the manslaughter of PC Andrew Harper, who died in Berkshire last year after being dragged for a mile along a country road by a car. The officer, who'd been investigating an attempted robbery, had married his childhood sweetheart just 4 weeks earlier. And today she spoke of her disappointment that the three accused were acquitted of murder. Helena Wilkinson has the story.
Andrew and Lizzie Harper beaming on their wedding day last July. But just 4 weeks after they promised a future together, it was so cruelly taken away when PC Harper was killed. The teenagers responsible, 19-year-old Henry Long, along with 18-year-olds Albert Bowers and Jesse Cole, seen here laughing after their first court appearance.
Well, the first thing to say, Hala, is it's not the MAX that's involved here. It's the 737NG Next Generation and the 737 Classic. There are about 2,000 at least of these planes. Any airline that flies the 73 has them in their fleet. And what's happened, Hala, is that whilst they've been stored, because no one's flying at the moment, so as they've tried to bring these planes back into service, they've discovered a corrosion, in some cases, in an air filter, in an air valve in the engine. Now, the danger of this one is, if it goes wrong because of the corrosion, Hala, the engine will stop and you won't be able to start it again. There have been several close near misses with this. So the FAA is saying these need to be checked.
Red Bull Air has walked free in a deadly hit-and-run case. The government of Thailand has dropped all charges against this man, the grandson of a Thai business mogul, who founded Red Bull with an Austrian in the 1980s. Now, this case is yet another reminder of how the rich and powerful get away from the law in Thailand.
In Bangkok's most exclusive neighborhood, a black Ferrari crashed into a policeman's motorcycle. Blood splattered on the road. The policeman's body was dragged for several dozen meters. The culprit fled the scene of the crime, leaving the cop in a pool of blood. The car belonged to Vuryoth Yudvia, the billionaire heir to the Red Bull brand.
A river in the Nepalese district of Chitwan has burst its banks. Umbrellas are a necessity to watch the fast-flowing flood beneath. Further along the river bank, a Buddha and a miniature temple just about managed to stay unscathed. But for many Nepalis, their homes, businesses and even livelihoods have been swept away. The monsoon season in Nepal started last month and took a turn for the worse on Sunday, with flash floods and landslides in 70 of the 77 districts across the country. The number of deaths is 3 times higher than the same time last year. Search and rescue teams are sifting through debris to find missing people and clear major roads which link mountainous parts of the country to the capital Kathmandu.
Protests continue in the Russian city of Khabarovsk near to the Chinese border, calling for a fair trial of the former regional governor Sergei Fergal. The member of the Liberal Democratic Party of Russia was arrested 2 weeks ago for his suspected involvement in several murders of businessmen in 2004 and 2005, according to Russia's investigative committee, allegations he denies. The 50-year-old is now in a Moscow jail for 2 months, and demonstrators are demanding he face charges in his hometown rather than in the capital.
Is our lead trainer who's been here for 34 years and also recently retained training with related symptoms, patients with diabetes. You started on treatment. You just want to follow up and see. Nurse Marina.
Hello Marina, how are you doing?
Hello.
Nice to see
Fine,
you.
thank
Good
you.
morning Marina, how
Good
you going?
morning.
Let's try this one. Here we go. Right, so what goes on in here? This is MR and the BCG and all that jazz.
All of them.
Because there's all these anti-vaxxers now, isn't it?
Well, Marina can tell you a little bit about how we've achieved that.
Marina, what do you think of anti-vaxxers?
We turn now to the fatal accident that's causing a diplomatic confrontation. 19-year-old Harry Dunn was killed last August when his motorcycle was struck by a car driven on the wrong side of the road by Anne Sakoulis in central England, according to British police. Sakoulis, the American wife of a U.S. diplomat, fled the UK and returned home to the United States. She's refused to return to England to face criminal charges, and U.S. officials have said that they won't extradite her because she has diplomatic immunity. Now, this week, the two allied countries, the U.S. and UK, changed their diplomatic immunity rules. We have with us now Harry Dunn's mother, Charlotte Charles, and their family attorney.
I'm fighting it because if it was you or I, we'd be expected to do exactly what we are expecting her to do. You know, she needs to come back to the UK and she needs to go through our justice system.
It looks more like the landscape of another planet. Those sticks you see in the ground were once trees in a forest in Russia's Ural Mountains, until an acid leak from a copper sulfide mine destroyed everything in its path. The mine has been closed for 16 years, but the environmental threat from it has never stopped. And last week there was an outrage across Russia when a blogger's images of the polluted waters nearby went viral, forcing Russian prosecutors to investigate.
This lake is near the mine. A mixture of water and acid flow from the old mine and right into here. That's why it's this color.
An accident in 1997 caused the mine to flood, and it hasn't stopped leaking a toxic mix ever since.
The Agriculture Minister says Vietnam's decision to ban wildlife markets is a huge win for global public health and has called on other nations to follow suit. Vietnam's Prime Minister prohibited the practice with immediate effect to reduce the risk of new pandemics. Agriculture Minister David Littleproud says the nation is leading the way and showing how markets can be managed into the future. The Southeast Asian nation reported its first local cases of coronavirus in 3 months, sending 50 people into isolation.